17, 18, 19, 1. 16, 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, 19, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 19, 20, 21, 20. That's good. Did you have a good New Year? Okay, so 19, 20, 21, 20. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Alright, we got it. We're getting there. If I get this, if I trigger that, all this will trigger at the same time. I need to do this one. This one's at 12. This from here to there has to equal 22. 12, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, never mind. But yeah, so what I did was I end up making all the cubes the same, right? The same length, and then trigger that one cube that connects them all together. Right? Once you do that, then you can trigger the story over. It's the domino effect, right? With forethought, things just have a way of working. So this one's a bit different, right? Because before, when you see doors, this is naturally missing, right? When you place it, it ends up opening the door. But this is backwards. If I take a cube, it ends up opening the door, and if I place a cube, it ends up closing it. So it's just working backwards. Now you have the yellow gun. The yellow gun. Yellow gun. Right. Now you can do something different with it, but we don't know what different. You end up, now we go again, right? Nope. The further we explore, the more connected everything. Does that make sense? Because when we're doing all these problems, right? You end up realizing you just have to retrace your steps. You have to figure out what puzzles you've done before and how you can apply it to the future, right? You also have to realize, what tools that were presented to you and how you can use them in the next puzzle, right? The only thing that you have to think of, right, in this game is how to use your tools in different ways in order to solve a puzzle. That's all you're really doing, right? When you see a new room, you just think about, okay, what puzzles did I solve before? How can I play it here? What tools do I have? How can I play it here? And then the new element is just how do I solve the puzzle in a different way, right? There's arrows already showing you where to go, right? If you get lost. If you do get lost even further, you can click escape. You can go back to a room that you were already there before, right? And if something seems impossible, then you just have to just move on, go to something different, right? You don't have to be frustrated over something that is literally impossible for you because you don't have the right tools yet. Let's see. Now in the yellow. a little tiny direction can get obstacles out of your way. So this posture is just applying to what you do here. Now you have something new that you can do. Okay? And this is holding the middle mouse button. And it tells you where you can place it to. Once you place it on the corner. Right. And now you notice if you stretch it out, you see this red line. So you're gonna move it. You realize now you can manipulate cubes. You can move them to where you want them to go, right? And they move in a certain direction based on where you want them to go, right? And they all have a certain length too. So if you see this, right, you end up being able to move cubes to where you want them to go, based on the middle mouse, based on what's presented to you. That's a new tool that you get, right? So let's think about everything that you can do so far. Place a cube, remove a cube. That was a blue cube. Right? The green gun allows you to use this laser to absorb cubes in a line, and then you can also use the left mouse button to create a line of blocks. Right? And then you can also create squares based on what you saw with the green gun. Right? Once you create a square, it fills up the center pieces, and that's how you regenerate more cubes naturally. And now you can move cubes to where you want them to go by using the middle mouse button. Okay? Now let's see what steps we can take. Oh, yeah, for this one, now we can do this one, right? This is an actual logical thing that we can do. So what happens is you can take a cube, and we can move it to the inside part, just like that, right? Move it to the inside part. Move it to the inside. Same thing here. Move it to the. And this is all possible because of all the tools that were presented to you, right? Because of all the tools presented to you. Just it's as simple as that, right? If it seemed impossible before, right? This to me, remember before, it was impossible. It seemed impossible, so I just moved on from it. Now, if you can think of all the places that you've been to before where you've seen yellow, right? Yellow cubes or yellow squares or even yellow filled, what was it, rooms. Now you can do all those places, right? Now you can bring cubes to those new places just because of this new tool that you're presented. So let's see what this is. This says a problem may only be difficult when you're missing the right tool. That's right. Look, do you see that? Everything I just said is reinforced with this poster. Right. Now it's easy. And this is pretty cool, right? This game likes to do that. Right. It likes to show you different parts of rooms that you can't, different parts of another room, right, that you can't reach in this room, but you can reach in the other room that you've been to before. What I mean by that is, if I go here, right, and I go through here, I can't really reach this room, but I've seen this room before, right? At the very beginning of the game, you see this front part that says walk, and you notice there's actually an eye behind it, right? So if I go back to the first part of the game, and if I look backwards, that's the same thing I saw before with that one, right? Well, let's see what happens when oh, this is glass, okay. What happens if I look through this, right? And it's a lot, if you notice, it's slower than the previous ones, right? So some people just give up on it, and they say, oh, it's not blinking immediately, so it's nothing, right? But if you just stay with it, you end up realizing something. I'll show you right here. This patience has a reward. Right? If I just looked at that and just looked away, end up not regarding it as anything important. This one's saying patience has its own rule. Right? And now we're in a different room. just because the game showed you that there's different rooms, right? You didn't have to know you had to look backwards, right? The game already showed you that that was a possible option. Let's see what we can do. If you notice, if you hit all 4 targets, all 4 lines, or 2 lines, there's only 2 lines. If you hit both those lines, the center part ends up triggering the door, right? If you only hit 1 line, triggers 1 part of the door. Trigger another part. There's actually 4, right? Because 1 comes through there, 1 comes through there, 1 comes through there. There's actually 4 triggers that you have to hit in order to do this. You are presented with 2 cubes. 6 now. I think it's 6. Yeah, it's oh, it's 4. Can't tell because the green highlight. No, it's 3. I lied to you. Okay, so there's 3 lines here, right? You have to hit, and they all connect in the center. So, really easy thing that you can do. You don't have the yellow gun, right? And you saw this for the first time, right? If you went through the first part of the game, right? You went through here, you noticed the eye, and you were patient, you just stayed there, instead of going here, only having the blue gun, right? One thing, this room is actually possible without the blue gun, without the yellow or the green gun. The way it's possible is you just take these cubes, just start stacking them on each other. And that's something that you can do with the blue gun, right? You can stack cubes on top of each other, and notice they float in midair. You end up triggering this entire thing, right? That realizing you need 2 cubes, right? And you did what you'd done before when you first had the blue cube, was just place this cube on top to leave the door, make sure the door doesn't close. This cube. Now you have 2 cubes. Just 1 cube there, 1 cube there. Nothing wrong with taking short. You end up going to the green, to the green gun, right? So there's actually 2 ways of going to that green gun. One is going through that entire long route, or the other one is if you were at the first part of this, right, and you couldn't really do this without the blue. You would need the blue. Right, you had the blue gun, you came here, you went through this. You end up being able to skip a whole section, right, a whole maze of rooms just to get to that green gun. Right, you wouldn't have to do all those other things that were required of you to do just because you look behind you, right? You went and you decided to go that route. Right. And there you have it. Now let's go back to where we were before. This is where we were before. And we noticed that. So there's 2 doors. Actually, the thing that you naturally want to do is just take the cube and see what happens. Ends up opening it.